Once upon a time, in a secret underground lab, the Minions were up to their usual mischief. Kevin, Bob, and Stuart were messing around with one of Gru's strange new experiments, a shiny, glowing purple potion labeled Crabex. Of course, being curious, and a little reckless, Bob thought it would be funny to take a tiny sip. "Banana," Bob said, squinting at the bottle before gulping it down. Suddenly, Bob's eyes went wide, his arms wiggled, his feet wobbled, plop. He fell over, and in a swirl of purple smoke, he began to change. "Poyo!" Kevin shouted in shock, as Bob's hands sprouted huge crab claws. His little minion body grew bigger, and bigger, until his yellow skin turned hard and red like a crab shell. Two enormous claws snapped in the air, and his legs became spiky crab legs. "Raya! Banana crab!" Bob roared, now towering over the lab like a giant crab monster. Stuart dropped his guitar. "Oh, Crab Bob's gone bananas." As Bob, now Crab Bob, stomped around the lab, knocking over machines and making beeping gadgets explode, Kevin and Stuart scrambled to figure out how to reverse the potion's effect. Meanwhile, Crab Bob skittered out of the lab and into the city, his giant claws snapping cars in half and his eyes glowing red. People ran screaming, "HH! A monster minion crab!" But deep inside, Bob was still Bob. He looked at a billboard with a huge picture of a banana on it and let out a sad little banana. Back at the lab, Kevin and Stuart searched Gru's books until they found a dusty old page titled Crabex Antidote. To turn a crab back to minion, mix banana juice, jelly, and a pinch of moon dust. "Moon dust?" Stuart shouted. "Where are we gonna get that?" But Kevin had an idea. They still had a tiny sample from their last trip to the moon. Working fast, they mixed the potion and raced into the city. There, Crab Bob was sitting sadly near a fountain, holding a crushed banana card in his claw. Kevin held up the antidote. "Bob, drink this, buddy." Crab Bob looked, confused, and then, slurp. He drank it in one gulp. Poof! Purple smoke swirled again, and slowly, Crab Bob shrank, his claws turning back into tiny hands, his shell softening back into yellow minion skin. "Banana?" Bob said, blinking. Kevin and Stuart cheered, hugging Bob. "Yay, Bob's back." Just then, Gru arrived, looking around at the wrecked city. "Who turned my minion into a giant crab?" The minions all pointed at Bob, who giggled nervously. "Oopsie, banana?" Gru sighed but couldn't help smiling. "Get in the car, we've got a lot of explaining to do." As they drove off, Bob whispered to Kevin, "Next time, no more Crabex?" Kevin nodded. "Definitely no more Crabex." And from that day on, the minions learned to always read labels. Well, almost always.